Hey guys, this is Tom Box, and today's video is going to be a ruling quiz, where the questions this time around, you can't simply just read the cards and figure it out, and these are some of the meta-relevant disputes that have been happening at locals, regionals, and even some of the higher tier events, and considering there's a YCS coming up, we're going out on this one. These are 3 simple questions, but they do spark out quite a few debate. And a bonus question for you guys, one of these I got wrong at locals, and this is kind of my way of kind of owning up. You know, I'm not gonna find that hill to die on. That's not what being a judge is about. If you get a better ruling, you update yourself and you just improve the game overall, just to help maintain the integrity of the game. So that's what it's more about, about self-improvement. And if you're my opponent, I apologize. This is kind of your way of owning me, and I'm just owning up in front of my audience, but I think it's relevant for everyone. So here we go. If you guys want to see more videos like this one, hit that thumbs up button, hit subscribe, ding that notification bell, and let's get into the quiz. All right, so we got some cash tier versus a floodgate scenario here. So we have player A with the Arise Heart set up with a cash tier Fenrir also on the field. So player B, well, in the standby phase, attempts to activate the Gozen match. However, player A chains the Arise Heart banishing effect, targeting the Gozen match. Player B decides to chain Dimensional Bear, calling XYZ. But we're not done yet. Player A has a chain of his own, using the Book of Moon that he had in his hand, and targeting his own Arise Heart. So on resolution, player A says that, hey, his Arise Heart is still going to banish the Gozen match. But player B says that, oh, monster on the field with the same card type as the one called will be negated. And since he called XYZ, Arise Heart is also an XYZ monster. It is negated. So they have an argument about that. One says that it gets negated, and the other says it doesn't. They call a judge. All right? You're the judge, and this is your question. You have 10 seconds to answer this, and you got to tell me why. All right? 10. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So we're going to resolve this chain. Chain link 4, we have the Arise Heart getting targeted by the Book of Moon. That's going to resolve. Book of Moon is going to flip the Arise Heart face down. Then we go to chain link 3, Dimensional Barrier resolves, calling XYZ. And then chain link 2, Arise Heart targeted to banish the Gozen match. Yes, that will go through. And the Gozen match is going to be banished face down. And of course, the Gozen match that's in chain link 1, well, it's not on the field anymore, so it does not get its effect. The answer lies in the heart of battle. No, the answer lies within the card text of Dimensional Barrier, because after neither player can special summon monsters of the declared type, also negate the effects of all monsters of that type while they're on the field. So there's 2 things that you're trying to confirm with this card. It only applies to cards that it can, first of all, confirm its typing, and it only applies while they're on the field. And here's the thing about cards being flipped face down. They're no longer public knowledge. You can't confirm their typing, but also because they're no longer face up, it's not on the field per se. That particular card is no longer on the field. Yeah, so that's why the Arise Heart will be able to banish, even if you call XYZ, because it's flipped face down. It's not there. Another card that you can totally apply, well, I guess can't really apply anymore. It's Totally Awesome. Totally Awesome, even if you declare XYZ, Totally Awesome can send itself off as cost, and it's no longer on the field, so it no longer applies. It almost feels like it's more like a skill drain to those monsters more than anything, if you want to kind of compare it that way. But also like against like ABC Dragon Buster, if your opponent decides to activate a D barrier and you have an ABC Dragon Buster, you can activate the effect of ABC Dragon Buster, target a card attempting to banish it, but you can also chain the effect to tag itself out to summon the 3 back. Because it removed itself from the cost, it's no longer on the field, and since both effects are chained together, yeah, that you're gonna basically get the 3 monsters and you're gonna get the banish, even though you're still under technically a D barrier. So yeah, that's what I got for you guys. So hopefully that doesn't mess you guys up, because the card is still technically on the field, but it's flipped face down. But we're going into the realm of cards being flipped face down, which is no longer public knowledge. This one I know explaining in person is kind of annoying, because first of all, the card border will obviously never change, and the card technically is still on the field, but it's no longer public knowledge, and the Dimensional Prison cannot apply to cards that are face down. All right, question number 2. This one's a funny one, because I've seen this argument happen before. Oh my god. Okay, so I'm gonna throw Cash Tier under the bus just for this example again, because it's very common for them, but it happens to all the other decks too. Okay, so player A activates a Pot of Prosperity, banishes 3 cards, whatever, adds a Cash Tier Unicorn into their hand. Then, in the open game state, they proceed to special summon out the Cash Tier Unicorn, and in response, player B activates a Book of Eclipse. Player A argues that, hey, you can't activate that. That's an illegal activation because you have to be able to resolve all parts of your card. And since I can't draw, you can't activate it. It's like Dark Bribe under Pot of Prosperity or Pot of Extravagance. That part is very much true. You can't activate Dark Bribe, while the opponent is under Pot of Prosperity or Extrav. But player B says, no, I can still use it. And that's their argument. So they call a judge, they call you over. You have 5 seconds to answer this because you're a really busy judge. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The answer, of course, the Book of Eclipse activation was completely legal. Okay? Because it doesn't guarantee that they're going to draw a card. And that is the big thing here. And I'm going to give you a very easy Master Duel precedent with Max C. Under Pot of Prosperity, yeah, you can still Max C and not draw cards. And that is a very common misplay. Aside from the Master Duel example, let's just go into some real life examples. Even under Drone Logbird, yeah, you can still activate the card. You just don't get to draw. Because the logical reason is, you're not guaranteed to draw cards, and when you have card effects that do not guarantee something to happen, even though there's a previously applied restriction to, getting the last part of the card, because it's not guaranteed, you can still actually activate the card, and when it gets to the point where you would resolve that part that you can't do, you just do as much as possible, and the part you can't do, you just don't do. So yeah, that's my best way of explaining it. So yeah, I've seen some people say this, and I just can't help but chuckle. I'm like, I feel like you know what you're doing. I just feel like you just don't have an answer to that Book of Eclipse, and you're just really mad about it. That's what I'm thinking. And yeah, now that I say it like that, it feels really sus when you try to do something like that. All right, so now you know, yes, you can Book of Eclipse, even though you're under like an anti-draw situation. Before we get to the last question, please check out MSTmerch.com for your trading card game essentials. From our beautiful premium foil sleeves from the Diamond series all the way to the LT Instincts, those are really beautiful. We're going to be getting more of those in the near future. If you want to protect your beautiful sleeves and you want to double up, we have over sleeves for you as well. Now, for those of you playing in tournaments and want a uniform color, we have our famous silky smooth whites, the Whites V2, and newest to the family of Carbon series, we have the Onyx Black. They are kind of exclusive, a very shiny black, and they feel the same as the whites, which is really crazy. And if you guys want to get some mats, you want to pick up some box dividers to help sort your collection, we have that too. And yes, we also have NFTs. Not for trade sleeves, that is. Get yours today at MSTmerch.com. Final question, Runics. And here we go. Here's the scenario. So it's currently player A's turn. Player A has 4 cards left in the deck. And in the standby phase, player B activates Flashing Fire, targeting a special summon monster on the opposing side. A has no response, but B chains Freezing Curse on that monster as well. So both cards basically proceed to resolution. Player A gets his monster negated and banishes the top 3 cards of the deck, leaving him with 1 card. And then, because of Flashing Fire, the monster gets destroyed, but here's where the argument occurs, where he argues that there's not enough cards for him to actually banish. Player B states that, well, if you don't have enough, you just basically banish everything and you lose to deck out. And so the argument ensues, though a judge is called. So what is the proper ruling for this scenario? You have 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's go. And player B is mostly correct. Yes. So when I say mostly, it just means that the part where the person's going to deck out immediately, that part's not exactly happening yet because they have to draw a card to, well, lose from deck out. But when it comes to the Runick cards for the banishing, even though there was not enough, but at the time of activation, there was enough for both the Flashing Fire and the Freezing Curses. Freezing Curses is going to negate the monster and the top 3 card will be banished. And then the Flashing Fire is going to pop the monster, and then that's going to banish the remaining 1 card. Because you have to do as much as possible when it comes to milling cards off the deck. So I want to break down the fundamentals of sending cards from the deck to the graveyard or banishing cards straight from the deck. There's really 3 fundamental rules to know. First one is about activation. In order for you to activate a card that would send away a specific number of cards from someone's deck, that person's deck will need to have at least that many number of cards based off of the specified number for you to activate it. In other words, we're talking about activation, playing the card activating as part of Chain Link 1. You guys kind of get the idea. For you to activate said card, you need to have the correct amount of cards for you to actually banish or send to the graveyard. This can be based off of cards like Needlebug's Nest or cards like Runick cards in general, because all the Runick cards, they specify a specific number and it's mandatory that you have to be able to fulfill all parts of the effect. Okay, so this is specifically about the activation of the card. Part 2 is the resolution of these cards. If the activation of the card was already successful, then during resolution, the card effect will attempt to send or banish as many cards as possible based off of the determined number, and it's going to try to fulfill that number. Even if the number of cards have changed over the chain link during the resolution, you know, cards were drawn, cards were sent to the graveyard, and you don't have enough, it's still going to try to do it as much as possible. However, this is also applicable to mandatory trigger effects as well that would basically mill cards. Because mandatory triggers will always activate. Say, think about Sangan and Thunder King. So if there's a mandatory trigger effect that would cause you to send cards to the graveyard, well, because you have already successfully activated, you're going to try to fulfill the number as close as possible, and the precedent to this would be Lightsworn monsters. Now, during the end phase, they are going to perform the send to the graveyard effect, and that part is mandatory. Case number 2 would be Necrophase. Necrophase also has a banish trigger, where if it is banished, then both players banish the top 5 cards of their deck, specifying the exact number of 5. So how did you guys fare in this ruling quiz? If you guys got it all right, congratulations. And you know, if you make this mistake in the future, this video will haunt you in your dreams. But which one did I get wrong? Is it question number 1, 2, or 3? If you guys guessed number 3, you guys would have been correct. I messed that one up at locals. However, I still don't think I would have lost the match because, well, time was called on my turn when you decked me out, and I dealt more damage to you. But, you know what? In all fairness, I'm just messing with you right now. We could totally have a rematch. I'm down for it anytime, just so that we can settle this conclusively. But yeah, I will own up to my mistake. As I said, I was going to look it up, and if I messed up, I'll put it in a video. So here it is. That's all I got for this video, guys. If you guys enjoyed this video, smash that thumbs up button. If you guys want to see more stuff from MST.TV, hit subscribe, ding that notification bell. I guess I will see you guys at YCS, and yeah, that's all I got for this one. So have a good one.